Good morning. It's quiet in here in the morning time because a lot of people aren't in here yet. So it is 6, but they have the TV like blaring, and there's no way, like, there's no remote or anything to turn it down. So I am sorry, and I sound like a man in the morning because my voice is husky. I have my coffee behind me next to Mr. Potato Head. This is like the family lounge. So I'm going to try to update you on everything, and I hope that you can hear me okay because it's so loud. Let's see. So let's go over last night. I'll just go over last night, and then I don't even know. Gotta organize myself. If you have not been here before, I am Mama Bear to many. Mama Bear. I have 15 children. So my 15th son was born. One of those children passed away 2 years ago. It's hard to say, like, how many children do you have, or do you currently have anyway? 12 children still live at home. And then Azariah, which is my newest son, is in the neonatal intensive care unit at Brigham and Women's, which is attached to Boston Children's. So like every day people from Boston Children's come over and evaluate everything as well. And Boston Children's would be doing any surgeries or anything like that if necessary. So last night he had a little bit of a temperature. They thought he had a little bit of a temperature, but they weren't quite sure. But it might have just been that the bed was too warm because he was coming down from cooling. And it takes a little while for them to like fully get readjusted to room air. So, yeah, he had a little bit of a temperature, so they watched that for a couple hours, but it looks good this morning. Then his monitors kept going off. So there's a monitor that says like how much ventilation or oxygen he's getting. And that should be at like 100%. If it goes below 95, then the alarm starts going off. And then if it goes below, I think it's like 70, it starts like really going off. But sometimes it's not accurate because they put it either on their hands or their arms. So if they're really active, then it can be inaccurate because they're like moving around. So he was moving around a lot last night, which is not surprising to me because when he moved around at night, not during the day. So his alarms were going off, and then they just come and they look at him, maybe try to reposition him, just to see how things are, and then usually it would just go back up. So they didn't actually need to like increase the volume that he was getting. It was more like just repositioning him. I know I'm saying a bunch. Somebody's gonna comment on that. That's okay. I'm tired. So other things were they took all of his. He had an EKG like on his head from Boston Children's. They took those off, and then they just had some from Brigham and Women's, and they've taken those off as well because they're not seeing any seizure activity. So that is good. He did the first night have seizure activity, and the potential of that, like 2 days later? No, the next night he had a potential for seizure activity, but then they decided that it wasn't actually seizure activity, that it was like related to him being moved. And so that's what they do. They evaluate like all the scenarios. There was like a video camera on his bed so that they could evaluate it like that. Okay, what's going on with everyone else? So the rest of my kids, I'll explain a little bit more and like the plans with Azariah and stuff in a minute. I just want to get this part out. Let's see, most of my kids are sick right now, like sick. So they have not been back to visit the baby. My husband has not been here because he doesn't want to be like with the kids and then like come here and take the chances of getting Azariah sick. So they have all been away. It was discussed among them. They're staying with friends. So we transferred the kids last Thursday from the campground to a friend who offered, oh, so sweet of her, offered for everyone to come and stay with her. And so they've been there. Okay, it's kind of weird to be in like a public place, like videoing myself. I have a hard time videoing myself in the grocery store. Um, so the kids are sick at this lady's house. I felt so bad. Is like as soon as they got there, they were just like horribly sick. So they've had like head colds, runny noses. One daughter threw up one of the nights. Yes. I feel so bad. I did. It's like, oh, you don't want to bring like sick kids someplace. And then we were like stuck and didn't have. She was so sweet. She like went to the store and yeah, just such a blessing. Um, Especially for my daughter who was trying her hardest to take care of the little kids. And of course, sick little kids want their mom. And so, oh, one day yesterday she called and it was like, can you just talk to the youngest that's there? And she was like, oh, mama. And you know, my older daughter, she was just upset. She had tears coming out of her eyes and she just wanted to be able to comfort her and she only wanted mom. And it was so sad. She cried for about 5 minutes and then she was like, okay, I take a nap. She was tired and she did end up taking a nap and feeling better after. But it's hard not to be the one, right? Like emotionally my heart's like torn. Like I want to just like run downstairs and go outside and be like, oh, come here, come snuggle. So that's really difficult. So what I've done is, many of you know that I have our name in lots of different places as far as around the city. And I had been looking at Airbnbs, Verbos, even local like advertisements on Marketplace to see if I could get something to rent for the month of October. The month of October is important to us because there's so many changes that are going to happen to Azariah's care that we wanted to try to, if at all possible, keep everyone or keep the people that want to be close. So they had a chat with my husband and my daughter had a chat with the children that were there and asked if anyone wanted to go home. So 3 of the children did want to go home, which is fine. I have 2 adult daughters there that they can go home with. And so they wanted to go home. And I think part of that really has to do with like, they're not feeling well. You just want to be home in your own bed when you're not feeling well, right? So my husband and my daughter are going to go and meet them today and like kind of meet them in Maine, like not really halfway, but kind of halfway. So they're going to meet in Maine and switch children over so my daughter is going to bring down some more supplies for us in the truck because we got the truck fixed. And in the truck, she's going to bring those supplies down. And then my mother is going to bring that daughter that drove the truck and 3 of the children back to Maine, along with, I think, some tents and stuff like that, back to home. And then we will have the truck and the van. That way my daughter, who has the rest of the kids, will have the van, and then my husband will have the truck for traveling back and forth. So I found a place. So what I ended up doing one night is actually a day and a night, is just kind of taking the bubble of Airbnb and on Vrbo, and just kind of going around, like 2 hours north, 2 hours west, 2 hours south, 2 hours east, like just around, all the way around to see what was available. And we were able to find a place. I found a place that had you could have 10 people, not 10 people, 8 people there. So that worked. 2 nurses had just come in. Yeah. So I forgot where I was at. Let me think. Thinking. Brain thinking. Okay, so those kids are gonna go back. Some food and supplies that we had at the house are coming down. They're also meeting at a Walmart, so they're gonna kind of like restock whatever needs to restock, which I don't think is too much stuff, just basics. But I'll let them decide what they're gonna do. Sorry. And then they'll go back to the woman's house that is helping, but we found a rental. I'm super excited. It's about an hour and a half from here. It's on the Cape. A couple of you had mentioned to check the Cape, and I did. And it's on the Cape, so it's about an hour and a half from here. It's actually like in the town that I grew up in. So that's kind of exciting, although I probably am not going to be down there. I might. We'll see. I might switch with my husband once he's feeling better, or once the kids are feeling better, so that he could like come here for maybe a day or two. But I also am pumping, so we discussed that, and I started to pump, and it actually is working well. And I'm thinking it's only because it's like a commercial, like hospital grade pump. So I don't know how that will work if I don't have the hospital grade pump, but for now I'm pumping. And Azariah so they gave him some, and then they started to try to move him to a 3-hour schedule, but he wasn't ready for that. So they've pulled off a little bit, added some nutrients back, and now they are doing it a little bit slower. He also has a lot of gas in his stomach, and he hasn't had like a good poop yet. So we're they gave him like a glycerin suppository last night, and I guess it worked and he got a teeny poop, but we'll just see how that works. But that's a good sign that, because with trisomy 18, sometimes like organs and stuff don't line up appropriately. So they were nervous that maybe like things were offset or whatever. So the fact that he did poop a little bit was a really good sign. So they'll be going to the house from October 1st to October 31st, which was like, I messaged the guy, and I just, not message, like you put a little like, I've never done this before, but it says like, tell us a little about yourself. So I just said the baby was at Boston Children's, or the hospital in Boston, and we were trying to keep our family close together. And he was like, let us know if there's anything that we can do, whatever, and it was really nice. So then I went to like put the payment through, and the payment didn't want to go through. And so it was like midnight, not last night, but the night before. It was like midnight the night before, and I'm like calling the bank, or calling the 800 number for the bank, and I'm like, whatever. So they ended up it was just that it was exceeding the daily limit on our account, and we're also out of state, so they wanted to make sure that like it wasn't a false transaction, because we had on that account before had some issues with some people who were or somebody who was using our debit cards, not our new debit cards, but other debit cards over in the UK. So our account is kind of like, I don't know, they put like extra security on it. And so that's called them. She was able to do that, and then I was able to process the payment. So I'm excited. And I think my daughter will feel a lot more, will just feel really comfortable, like feeding everyone and doing everything. There's a yard, it's a house. So there's a yard. It looks like a pretty big backyard. And then there's also like there's some like toys in the house. Like I saw some, they had some like Legos and a drawer with like crayons and that type of stuff. So it's definitely not a non-family friendly house. So that's really nice. Yeah. And then another thing is it says it's like walking distance to the beach. So that will be another avenue that they'll be able to like take the kids to the beach so they can just run off some energy, build sandcastles. I mean, it's too, you couldn't like swim right now, but you could find seashells and build castles. So that will be exciting for them. And I think that they need that because they just are, they've been sick. And yeah, it's just, they don't have their mom, and it will be something different. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm making the best decision. It's just trying to be like the best mom, in all directions. I've, yeah, trying to figure out how to be a mom to like everyone in every area. So that is where we're at. I keep yawning, sorry. Let me think. So we got the house. They're going to be doing that on Tuesday. They are going to pick up or swap kids and groceries today, which is Sunday. Azariah, basically where he is at, is we're just seeing what he wants to do, and where he's what he's doing it. It was so sweet yesterday. I got to hold him for like 2 hours yesterday, which was so special. We just got to snuggle in, and he was trying to like, you know how a baby, like if they go to nurse, they like turn their face like towards you. He was trying to do that. He's off the morphine now, so he's a lot more awake, and so he kind of like will like look, kind of, he doesn't like look directly at you. But in order to get an MRI of his head, which they want to do, because he had they usually try to do that after the cooling, he would need to be on a different type of ventilation system. So the goal is try to see where he's at in order to get him on that ventilation system. But they don't want to pull him off of this ventilation system too soon because the diaphragm is starting to be pushed down, and which is a good thing because we wanted that diaphragm to be like correct. So we don't want to switch the ventilation and then have like a lung collapse. So they're, they're being cautious as far as that goes, which I'm super happy about that they're being cautious. So that's that. Trying to get him to do like a bigger poop. What else? Biggest thing right now is just the lungs. It's just the lungs, but he seems to be doing stable and making progress. So everyone's just like, yeah, let's just let him tell us when he's ready to make that next step. So we're just kind of seeing what he wants to do and waiting for him to take the next step. So as far as some people were like, well, when are you guys going home? Blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. We don't know, for one, if his lungs can't hold. I mean, if his diaphragm won't hold the lungs, then he would require surgery there. And then he also would need cardiac surgery or to repair the hole in his heart. So those are lots of upcoming things. The plan is my husband has 6 weeks like paternity leave, so he is taking that right now, and then he's going to be taking the majority of the kids home, and then we're trying to get my daughter and myself into like Ronald McDonald House or hospitality homes, and then it would be me and her, and then Sweet Pea, and then the two little ones, so that we could care for her like medical needs and care for the two little ones would be closer to me. So I'm hoping that eventually that's going to be like our thing, and then like me and her could like tag team taking care of the three little ones. And I don't know what that will look like yet, but that is the goal. So I'll talk to the social worker on Monday, tell him where we're at. He's been helping, like, try to look for some things as well. And he did mention that I should call and just, like, constantly, like, check to make sure, where's my name on the list? Have you, whatever, do you need any information? Just to make them very aware that we are still very much in need. So I'll probably talk to him and do that on Monday. Yeah. So I get to most of the time, or a lot of times, I can change the baby's diaper and like take his temperature, which is nice because it makes me feel like I'm doing something. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what else. Let me see. Oh, the kids at home, they are doing fairly well. I've had some chats with both of them on the phone since they've gotten home from their retreat. And one of my daughters, she's like, so we got a lot of green beans and we canned some green beans. So I didn't say anything to them. They needed to do that, and it was nice to hear that she had done that. And I guess she had gotten some beets, and she had done some beets too. So the kids will be excited for the beets because they love pickled beets. Yeah. So they've been holding things down. It'll be a little easier because one of the people that wants to go home is my son, who's almost 18. He's going to have a birthday here coming up soon. And he wants to be able to be home, which will be helpful probably to them because he also like runs the tractor very consistently, and they do not. So the people that know how to run the tractor were all here with us. So, yeah. Of course, I'm here, and I've been waiting for like somebody to message me about a cow. Like, this is from like April. I had inquired about whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we have this this calf ready. If you want to come pick it up." I'm like, "Yeah, no." So that is where we're at. I will probably update at a later point. Maybe I'll update like if and when Azariah like gets his thing, once people get settled in the house. But I'm excited for them to have the house. I think that my daughter will enjoy it, especially with sick kids, because it's hard when you're like in somebody's house and your kids are sick. No matter how nice the people are, like you feel guilty, like you just feel like so bad that your kids are sick. And also when they're whiny, it's like you're not gonna let them like fuss, and it's hard. You want to just like have them be like content and okay. And so I think it will just be a blessing. But it is almost time. They do things, they have a real schedule. So I've got about 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go over and check and probably like change Azariah's diaper. And then they come in and they tell you what the plan is for the day and the next couple days, and go from there. Yeah. So I probably at some point will share with you like what things kind of like what things look like here and whatever, but we'll see. Have a blessed day.
You're gonna open your eye for Daddy. Are you? You're gonna say good morning? I think he might like it. I think he might like it. Yeah. Or was that a treat only for Mama? Hmm? Treat only for Mama? stretch all out now. Huh, Azariah? Yeah, you can stretch out and move now. So special. There it goes. I see it starting to open. I did see you peeking. Do you like being able to stretch? Yeah, you too. Yeah. Doing a little peek. Oh, here goes your cozy spot.